Just a little bit about me. My name's Carlos. I work for CBRE in Orange County. I'm going to share my screen with you guys with CoStar and everything. But before I get into that, I'm going to talk about the projects we have and how you could probably work into brokerage if that's a career path you want to do. Especially if you want to work for CBRE, Cushman and Wakefield, JLL. I really just wanted to come here to actually tell you uh, stuff that people don't really tell you when you first enter the business, and something that you could actually save a lot of years for. So I'm really excited. So I'm just going to get right into it. So let me share my screen real quick. So this is CoStar. We usually use this, but before I get into this and the projects we actually have. So I know a lot of you guys are looking to do commercial real estate. You guys are trying to sell properties, whether it be multifamily, industrial, it's one of your dreams. And I just want to say right now that if you're looking to get into it, it's a really risky path. And a lot of people that I've seen trying to get into commercial real estate actually didn't succeed. And if you're looking for stability, I would go into asset management or development, because asset management, you could actually have a salary and be very stable. And the first thing you need to do if you want to be successful in brokerage, and I wish I knew this years ago, and I hope you guys write this down, you have to find a really good team, because a team will provide you with not only listings or leads, they'll provide you with money, a sponsorship, so you could actually do brokerage for 2 years while getting paid. And it's actually called a draw or a sponsorship. So usually people think it's a 1099 job, but when you're first starting, it's going to take you 6 to 8 months to close a deal. Like 100%. A lot of people like to tell you you're going to make 6 figures the first year. And, you have this idea of brokerage of people being millionaires and stuff like that. There are people out there, but they've been working in the business for years. So unless you have connections too, you're going to be doing a lot of cold calling. I think I started off doing 300 cold calls a week at a firm I used to work at, Marcus & Millichap in Ontario. That was my first job. And I would recommend doing the SIP program because at least you get paid. But everyone in there was 1099. Everyone in there was commission only. I've seen people break on the phone. People don't like calling on the phone. You have to call random strangers. I don't know if you ever got a phone call from a random stranger, but you hang up immediately. You have to be really good on the phone. You have to get someone on a meeting. You have to get someone to think about you owning $1 million property and someone calls on the phone to sell it. You have to convince them to get on a meeting with you, meet them, and list their property, and then sell it. This is how you start. This is how everyone starts. And I've seen a lot of people, true story, I saw this guy come from med school thinking that he was going to make a lot of money in commercial real estate. He ends up calling, they track all their calls, right? On Marcus & Millichap. This guy ends up calling the BRE for 6 months so he could hit the quota. He ended up quitting. Like, a lot of people don't make it. And you're ignorant because you don't know anything. So you're willing to do whatever it takes. And then a lot of people think it's something else. And then the regional manager will tell you, or somebody will tell you, and I'm telling you real experience, they will tell you things what you want to hear. So the only way to really make it in commercial real estate, not residential, commercial, you need a good team. You need to find someone that will help you, that will give you leads, that will be there holding your hand. And the only way to do that is to either get experience or good grades. And a lot of people want to get into this industry. A lot of people come from UCI. A lot of people come from UCLA. A lot of people get their salesperson's license. I would recommend going for your broker's license if you can before you graduate. I recommend getting a 3.0 and above. And I recommend you make sure you're life committed. And I'm only telling you this because, I do care about, I wish someone told me when I was younger, because I could have saved a lot of years on it, because you go in there not knowing anything and they just expect you to make it, and it's business. And business in general, you're only trying to everyone's against each other, so no one's really going to help you unless you have a team. So overall, if that's not for you, your first years, I'm sorry, but you should do something more stable, like asset management or property management or something in finance. Go with JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. Do something more of that realm. Investment. Go into an like investment firms like Blackstone and press companies, huge management firms that manage a lot of property. So you could kind of be there. I worked in development. Development is amazing. If you could get into that, go for it. Development is beautiful, has a lot of different aspects to it. But overall, let me show you some projects so you know I'm the real deal with my team. But that's a little bit about brokerage. I'm actually going to go through the process of getting a tour survey, offers with you, sample offers, and a sample lease. So you actually know how to close a deal and everything really quickly. So I know we have a little bit of time, so I'm just going to kind of brisk through it. But this is stuff no one's going to tell you. And there's no private information on there, so I could definitely share this. So this is CoStar, by the way, if you've never seen this before. This is what every broker uses. This is like the MLS. This is like how they list every property. So let me just click this right here.
So that's oh yeah.
This is the MLS for commercial real estate. This has retail, multifamily, office, land, pretty much everything you need. So go here. Sorry, there's a few things on my screen. So these are some of the properties we work on. So let me show you some of my team real quick, and then I'll show you the properties that I'm working on right now. So this one is by Anaheim Stadium. Sorry, it's kind of slow, but let me see if I could click on this right here. I don't know why it's doing that, but overall, this is one of our big buildings that CBRE actually owns full equity. So it's around 200,000 square feet. Actually, it was sold 2 years ago to CBRE for around 76 million. And the contacts are, let me show you the contacts or the leasing. So we usually lease out this building. You see it, you'll see it if you drive by the 57. Hopefully I can grab it. It won't let me, it's like lagging, but here we go. So we're actually leasing this property right here. So this is one of our projects. This is my team that I usually work for, that actually hired me. Peter Wells, Chip Warner, Rick Warner. I work with Taylor Friend and a few other people. But so pretty much this is the essence of brokerage. Once you get a listing, you put it online and you get inquiries for it. You get different tenants, and you could actually maneuver these tenants into different properties. So if you represent 20 properties, you could get so many different leads from it. So you don't have to cold call, you don't have to canvas, etc. But like I said before, when you first start, you have to do that. You have to do that unless you get a good team like my team does, because it gets so many leads that you could actually work on it. So you don't have to do so much cold calling. And trust me, when you don't work for a team and you have to do a lot of cold calling and that's your main source of business, it's very hard to actually make it here. So you could be spinning your wheels for 5 years. Yeah, go ahead.
So how would you go about building that, standard team? How do you meet the kind of people that are as dedicated as you and all that?
Of course. So I would recommend, how I got into it, for example, you have to contact these teams through your own accord, or you can work in acquisitions and you have to get connected with them somehow. And they have to be hiring. Like, for example, I was doing acquisitions. I was representing a development team for land. And I actually contacted a broker on one of his listings. So I end up acting like an interview for 6 months trying to close this deal. And then when he was hiring, I asked him, could I just have a reference because I want to work for CBRE, right? And he gave me that reference, but then he wanted me to work on his team. So you meet the team and you go through everything, and they actually come and reach out to you. As hard as that sounds, for CBRE, they have to reach out for you for associate position. So to answer your question, you have to contact teams. You have to. That's the best way, because when you contact a team, they'll give you leads. For example, I know this is very laggy, but I'm going to show you my listing that I have here that I'm working with, because it's a little bit easier. And I would also recommend you trying to get a sponsorship or a draw when you first start off, so you could actually have money in the beginning, you know? So you don't have to be 1099 in it first few years. So I'm trying to click on this. I don't know why it's doing that. It's laggy, but this is my building right here that I have listed. So it's going for 2.2 million. It's an office in Orange County on West Chapman. So this person wants to sell, and we're going to meet with her on Wednesday. It's pretty much under our name right now. See, these are the people that we work with. Usually I'm only working with Taylor Friend here. These other two people, they're kind of facilitating everything. So Taylor Friend, he's vice president. I work with him very closely. And so, for example, I get to do tours. I get to do contacts, any leads that contact us. I recontact them through LoopNet. And pretty much I try to facilitate everything going through this deal. So that's what I'm talking about. When you're working for another firm, though, they don't give you these listings. They don't give you these leads. They don't give you anything. You have to work to get them yourself. That's base level. So when I first started, I've got a few deals through the phone and then I got this job because I was tested. A lot of people don't do that. So this is how you actually get into CBRE. You have to get experience first, but at the same time, if you have really good grades, I think you could just get it through just getting really good grades, and if the team really likes you. So that's a little bit of that. There's a few other listings we have in Orange County. It's a little bit laggy. This is a listing right here we're going to get in October. So here's the deal too. When they give you a listing or a lead to lease out property, if you close the deal, they'll actually give you more leads. So it's like you're just building relationships and you're getting more leads, but at the same time, you have to cold call, obviously, in Canvas. So I'm getting this lead right here with another teammate of mine in Placentia to represent them to lease out 10,000 square feet. But it's only because I've done this deal and this deal in Laguna Hills and another medical office space and another space for a flex site, and they actually know I could close a deal. So, well, let me show you something of a sample proposal. So this is this is pretty much brokerage. So pretty much you make a tenant survey and see what property they want. And then after you find a tenant survey, you send an LOI. Now, a LOI is an offer. So when you make an offer, it's pretty much showing you, this is the landlord, this is the address, and you're like, oh, this is the tenant I'm representing on this project name for the landlord. So this is pretty much everything in a contract. So you pretty much sent this off, so you don't have to sign the contract or write a contract beforehand. And this actually shows that your client is actually interested in the property. So this is like real life things that we actually use. And there's no personal information on here. I got rid of it. But this is a project that I used to work on. And you sent this to the listing agent after they like it. Now you're going to see the premises, lease term commencement, all this stuff you'll learn in general if you're doing office, rental rate, any free rents, tenant improvements. Like you have to do all this doing a 1099, by the way, unless you become lucky like me with a sponsorship or a draw. And after they like it, they have to sign it. And after they sign it, this shows the parking, cleaning specifications, any toxic management, any type of things like that. Security deposit, first month's, last month's rent, commission, expiration,
I
and
have a
then they sign
question
it.
about the
Yeah, go
commission.
ahead.
I have a question about the commission, not on the acquisition end, more on if you do the lease. How is the commission work if you close a lease?
Yeah, so leasing is probably 4 or 5 times better because when it comes to leasing, you know how in a sale you have to go through escrow.
Yeah.
It takes like 45 days.
Yep.
So when you sign a lease, you actually get paid pretty much a few days after. So there's no type of once they sign the lease, you get your money right there. And if you bring a tenant, you get 4% of the entire lease.
Of the first month?
Oh no, the entire lease. So this lease, for example, was 5 years. So you get 4%. I think this person was paying $5,000 a month. Let's see right here. When I had it, yeah, around $5,000 a month. I think the total commission for this one was like 10 or 12 grand or 4%. It was 5 years, so maybe a little bit more, maybe even 20. I don't know, but I'll have to do the
Yeah,
calculations. But yeah, go ahead.
12 grand.
So that's one lease, and it's really fast. So it just depends. Like, let's say we did another lease, right? The whole lease was worth around 300,000. So you get 4% of that, and it's around 12 or 13 grand, but there's no escrow involved, and these leases come pretty quickly. But this is only, I'll be honest with you, this is only 1,500 square feet. Like, there's people that do 8,000 square feet, 12,000 square feet, 15,000 square feet, and they do it for 10 years, 5 years. Imagine that. That's a lot of money involved, and that's a lot of money of commission up front. But yeah, go ahead.
Do you personally do more leases or do you do more sales? What do you close?
So I'm going to show you another building right here. So office is great because you could do leasing and they're quick, and you could do the sale of the building because they're longer. If you do multifamily or like retail, most of the time you're just going to do sales. But you could do leasing, retail, and stuff like that. But they always have a leasing agent. But our team does both. But let me show you a sample proposal of sales because I want to show you guys that because I think that's what people really want to see. So this is I took out a lot of stuff, like a lot of branding. So pretty much you're going to have, it's a little bit different. You're going to have properties on there. This is an offer, by the way. The purchase price, the deposit, title and escrow company, use, close of escrow, purchasing form, air contracts. I know this is a lot of information. Air contracts is like the standard that they use to actually facilitate a deal. Due diligence, broker's commission, you get 3% of a purchase paid out in escrow. So 3% out of 1.6 million, what is that? Let's see. 1.6 million. So you get like 48,000. But it depends if you're working with someone. So if you're working with someone, you're going to split that, or even with the house, you're going to split that. So it all depends. So, but this is only for 1.6 million. There's a lot of, in commercial real estate, there's a lot of deals that actually stem up to 100 million, 46 million, 40 million. And the commission kind of goes a little bit lower. Like you get 1 or 2% of that. You're not going to get 3%. In residential, it's kind of, in residential, you could get $1 million house. You sell those $1 million matches for 40 million. Well, in commercial real estate, there's a lot of buildings out there. A lot of buildings out there that are going for 200, 70 million, 80 million. And that's like the highest, the sky's the limit, you know what I'm saying, in commercial real estate. So that's why I wanted to do commercial real estate, because I felt like that was a dream of mine when I was very young and I saw it. But the thing is, there's a lot of competition and you have to get a good team and you have to work your way up. So you start small, but then you go into the bigger properties. So
I have a question. So currently, it's the pandemic time. So how was the market of the commercial real estate like?
So that's why you need to have a good team. I know this is a good question. So it got hit pretty hard. However, my team is working at 95% than they were last year. So we are still getting business, but a lot of brokers think it's the end of the world, and it's not. There's a lot of people still looking for leasing an office space in Orange County. This is Orange County. In LA, I think they took the biggest hit. LA, I know a lot of brokers are leaving. A lot of brokers are not going to make it. A lot of high-rise buildings that you see are all closed down. A lot of people, the best product type would be medical office because they're the ones with still open doors. So they are still killing it. I think the worst product type is retail. I think retail took the worst hit. So those people are really struggling right now. But office is kind of in the middle. So it all depends. Insurance companies, CPAs are doing great. Lawyers are doing great during this pandemic. So it affects some people. But it hasn't affected Orange County that much, for example, to answer your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. But I mean, let me just go over one more thing so you guys kind of know how extensive it is. So this is an actual lease that I have. So I took out every private information stuff. This is probably around 60 pages. So it's a lot. There's a lot of things that go into this. And when you're first new, you're not going to know any of it, but it's very simple if you know how to, if you know the terminology in commercial real estate. So when I was working for an asset manager in my last job, I actually know a lot of this already because they had a medical office. So I kind of knew everything that they were going to do, but you have to learn it through experience. So it tells you the base rent, operating expenses, pretty much everything you need to know when it comes to everything about the building, whether it comes to like what uses can you use, the rules and regulations of the building, hazardous substances. You can see it all here. And there's different pages, and you have to go through with the tenant, and you have to be able to explain everything line by line. So before we get too crazy, you recommend them to see a lawyer, a real estate lawyer, so you're less accountable, and let them know that, you know, you could just tell them, explain everything to them, but at the same time, they have to go through their own due diligence through this lease, and they need to get comments from the lawyer. So you have to go through the lawyer. So you're actually arguing with some attorney sometimes, which is kind of hard, but for the sales of a building, it's more extensive. I would say the purchase contract is more extensive. There's so much other stuff in there. It's really difficult, but you get a due diligence package, you get escrow instructions, and if you have a broker to oversee everything, you could go through it. So like I said, you have to have a team or it's just way too difficult. So I'm just going to go through this really fast. It's pretty much the same thing in the LOI. It just explains everything in detail. You know, the base rent, what they're paying, security deposit, all this type of stuff. There's different exhibits. And you pretty much go through everything. These are little comments that I put. I could probably even send this to you, honestly. I mean, if you want to look at it. There's no personal information on here. It's just standard legal language that you have to give to your tenant and you have to understand. So, I mean, it's going to take me years to explain all this, but you'll learn. This is what I'm just trying to show you. This is what a lease contract is. And no broker will ever really show you because it's part of the game in commercial real estate. You have to learn everything firsthand and the hard way. Unless you have someone that you know that are going to actually hold your hand and teach you everything. But nobody wants to teach you anything unless you're very motivated and you're really good in school or you have a lot of experience already. It's very tough. It's very tough to make it. And then when you find a deal, they'll maybe show you. So the game is to find a deal so they could show you everything. So this is pretty much everything. I could probably send this to you guys if you guys want to look at it. This is real life stuff. This is real life standard stuff. But this is pretty much everything I wanted to really cover. I wanted to be really quick about it. But overall, if I could give you some advice, I wish someone gave me. don't believe what everyone tells you, especially higher managers or higher management, because you're just your human capital. If you don't know anything about the business, you're going to be spinning your wheels for a long time. And the only way to make it, if you have a good team that you could trust, that will actually help you hold your hand. So if you're going to go in there a solo agent like I did in Marcus Millichip, I was working with a senior broker, but it all depends. Like that senior broker barely taught me anything. And the thing is, they kind of test you first to see if you can actually work on your own. And then they'll help you and they'll throw you a bone. But overall, this is how commercial real estate is. And I would recommend, if you're looking for more stability, to do something else in asset management or leasing. Leasing for a private firm that owns buildings, and you're just kind of like a leasing agent there. So you don't have to find deals or anything. You just manage, you just manage any inquiry that comes in, and we do the hard work, which is finding the tenant. So that's pretty much it.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you tell me, like, normal average broker in the industry, like he's in a team, he's making, decent amount. He's not like the best. He's just there, average. And you have a broker who's in a team and he's producing on a much higher level. Like he's like the superstar in there. What's the difference between the two?
So I would say everyone starting off their first or second year without a team are probably making $10K a year. I mean, I'll be real with you. There's even the guy $1 million listing in New York, his first year, he made $9 grand, and now he makes 20 million a year. And then the superstars, if you're working for CBRE, for example, the average salary is at least 40K.
Not talking about the salary. Like what makes that other guy better? Like what does he have that makes him function on such a higher level? Like they're both in a team. It's just this guy's producing, he's putting food on the table, but the other guy's making millions. What's the difference between the two?
The other guy has been in business for a longer time, and they had a lot of connections through their whole life experience. For example, my senior broker, he started 30 years ago, and he was telling me he got a little bit lucky on a few transactions, but he built a Rolodex of different clients and they referred him. So it kind of grows. And once you get a referral and meet with the client, more clients come to you. And when you get more listings and you call around those listings, you end up getting more listings, right? So you can end up building a bigger team to call those listings. So it kind of grows from there. So it just depends. Like it's all about how long you've been in the business for and how good is your personal relationship. Some people, I'll be honest with you, they're kind of born into a very wealthy family and they already have all these connections because they already own so much property. So you're versing against them too. Because some people never picked up the phone. That's what they told me. Some of them told me straight up that they never picked up the phone in their life, and they were just they own so much properties. They already knew so many landlords that they were able to represent them. So that's the difference, pretty much. So if you have no connections, your only way is to get a team. From my experience.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. But it is tough. It takes a lot of years. I hope I said a lot and hope you got a lot of advice from it. I know it's something you probably don't want to hear so much about, as in a way, this is very difficult, but it's something you need to hear. And it's not the normal type of motivation where you hear from people where, you're going to make so much money. You're going to make 100K the first year. It's just not going to happen unless you're really lucky in acquisitions and you got really good grades or something. But other than that, it is possible. So in years, though, like any other business. So
I had a question a bit more personal though. When you graduated, what were your grades like by chance?
Oh, this is perfect. So it's actually crazy because when I graduated, I didn't have a 3.5. I barely had a 3.0. I had a little bit of below a 3.0. So if it gives you a higher chance of making it and more motivation, it's like, What's the point of grades then? you know. But the thing is, I only got lucky because I had a really good resume. Like I had deals that were very high end for my level of experience that I had in escrow, and I got really, I met a broker. I built a relationship with him. My grades weren't up to par, but when they told me the senior manager, there's two senior managers. One wasn't for me and one was for me. They wanted someone with a master's degree with a 3.5 GPA. It's like I don't have that. But the other guy liked me. The guy that interviewed me, he was from UC Berkeley, and he didn't want. I didn't feel like he wanted me to be a part of the team, but the other regional manager did because he knew I had a lot of experience. So if you don't have good grades, you need experience. You have to work from the bottom, like I did.
Was
So
that experience from an internship, or did you have like a job, actual full-on job?
So I started as an intern for Marcus and Millichap, and then I got an actual job there.
Okay.
But in Marcus and Millichap, these not low end brokerages, but the mainstream brokerages like Sperry's Commercial, Colliard's, Lee and Associates, you could get in there, and they don't really necessarily need a good GPA. So if you wanted to get into that space, it's going to be a little bit difficult to start from the bottom, but at least you have you get the opportunity for experience. So
okay. I hear you.
So if you don't have good grades, it's not the end of the world for you. And even if you start off like I did in Marcus and Millichap, I found a really big lead, and they weren't going to have me on board if you get a really significant amount, because it gets into investment banking, for example, later on. So I didn't think it was a firm for me, and I wasn't level-headed, so I thought I could get any job afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I was without a job for a year, and it was really hard to find one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I'm going to be honest with you, in the real world, it's 10 times harder, but don't give up. I mean, I made it to CBRE after so many different years. Some people make it their first year and then they don't make it. Some people make it in support teams, but they want to do brokerage. It is what it is, but don't give up. You know, if you don't have the grades, if you get fired your first job or you quit your first job, you can still make it.
Yeah, just get your foot in the door.
Yeah, you could always make it no matter what. So, but hopefully I told you guys a lot so far. So
I had a question for you, Carlos.
yeah, go ahead.
So I'm 1099 at my firm. What can you expect from a sponsor, and like what does a sponsor like usually entail?
So I would recommend, depending on how many years you're in the business, so you get a sponsorship, which is you're not liable for any money they give you. You get paid, but they're gonna make you work really hard if they're gonna pay you, to be honest with you. And you just give away your commission. So you just get like a salary. You're just trying to get experience. So that's kind of like a sponsorship, you know? But if you make a lot of money, they'll probably give you a bonus, you know? That's a sponsorship. For a draw, they pay you money, right? Let's say 40K, 50K a year, but you have to pay that money back through commission. And that's only if they know they could help you and they know that you could actually make it. Some of the draws are 20K. They could stop the draw. They could wait till you get more money, but at least you have money when you're starting off, because you need that money to survive and you need something to work with. And you're going to see all your friends go through their careers, and it's going to be very hard for you because you don't want to be that person that doesn't sell anything if you're in brokerage. I promise you. So, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to have another quick question. So in that litmus test at the beginning, their first year or two, what are the types of things that they are expecting you to perform that make you stand out to pretty much pass that test?
You need to get leads from cold calling. You have to make meetings. The more meetings you get with owners, you'll stand out a lot. And if you could get a listing and a sale through a cold call, That's all it takes. Like if they could, that's a real professional salesman. If you could talk to people off the phone and make a sale, which I've done, you could do that. And it shows a lot. It shows a lot because it's way too hard out there. These people, these owners get like 15 calls a day. Like, what are you going to stand out? Like, the only way to really get someone on the phone and get them to talk to you, you have to be really quick. There is a cold calling script that we use for CBRE, which is the best script I ever seen in my whole life. I can't show you that, unfortunately, but there's cold calling scripts every firm has that you could use. And you just kind of, it's an art. You kind of utilize the tools they give you and you try to do your best with it. So a lot of people, like I'm telling you right now, a lot of people can't do it. A lot of people are really motivated. A lot of people fail. I've seen so many people leave the office in Marcus & Millichap since the 8 to 10 months I worked there. So.
And just really quick on top of that, when you guys are doing the cold calling, are you finding yourself getting past gatekeepers really well with those scripts, or is it kind of you're kind of trying to attack the upper echelon of the company, the decision makers?
So there's a lot of tools you could use that a lot of these companies have that you could actually rip out personal information like cell phones from any person that owns a property in the US anyway. But sometimes the cell phones are not there. So you have to go through the gatekeeper. And CBRE has such a great script for it. It's amazing. But like I said, I can't really show you all of it. But you have to get through the gatekeeper somehow because the receptionist, their job is to get rid of you. So you have to be really clever. So.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. But yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I had a question. Have you ever done any like non-commercial real estate stuff, like more homes, like residential real estate?
Yeah, I actually started when I was 19 in residential. And to be honest with you, residential is, if you're trying to get a degree, try to move into luxury housing, like in Beverly Hills or something, because you're really smart. A lot of people in residential don't have degrees and they just have a license. Residential is more emotional. And it's pretty much the same thing. You have to go door to door. Cold calling could be one, but if you get a listing on Zillow, you'll be pretty good. A lot of people call on Zillow on your listings and you could utilize that. So if you want to do that, go for it. I think it's great.
Okay, and for sure. And then I also wanted to ask, like, did you get an internship before you went into like the whole real estate industry, or did you kind of just like got a job after you graduated?
I honestly, if you're going to go in commercial, try to get an internship or something to see if you really like it, because you're going to be doing everything. But I would just start off as a sales associate. Internships are not worth it for real estate in general, unless you're working interning for CBRE or Cushman & Wakefield. 100%. I don't think you're better off starting as a sales associate, just getting your license, straight up sales associate. You'll learn 10 times more than being an intern. Being an intern, you're just spinning your wheels unless you need money. So
got it. Thank you.
No problem.
I had another question. Back to the whole experience thing. Does it matter what kind of experiences or internships you should do? Like, are there certain ones that stand out, or does it not matter as long as it's in the general field?
If it's,
Or you're trying to get it.
I'll be honest with you. If you're very smart, depending on what field, some people are lawyers that come to this field. They don't have that much experience. If you have a lot of similar experience in commercial real estate and sales, they'll hire you. For a first level position, they'll hire you. So you just need similar experience, like you were saying. But if you want to work for a high level firm like CBRE or Cushman & Wakefield, you need commercial real estate experience. You need transactional experience. You need that. There's no other way around it. So unless you're working for support, it's a little bit different. But yeah, go ahead.
So I have another question, Carlos. What would you say is like the biggest pros and cons at CBRE versus M&M?
M&M, is a good firm. I mean, I try not to talk bad on my employer. It's just if you really want to, I feel like it's an easier barrier of entry, but it's definitely the hardest type of brokerage to work for. I wouldn't recommend people to get in there, but if you need experience, that's the only way. I think it would be the best bet. I think you could be successful in there. I just if you're gonna work for any brokerage, I'll be honest with you, don't don't try to try to get into the best firms like Cushman and Wakefield and CBRE because they could actually provide all the tools you need, and they'll actually put a lot of effort into you, so you don't waste your time. And you could go to Google or you can move into Google, you could go into Apple, you could go into Tesla for a real estate position. All the alumni for CBRE, they all work for JP Morgan, or anyone who left CBRE or Cushman and Wakefield work for a bigger company because they're like the highest echelon of brokerage out there. So
What type of like incentives did they provide you that like you'd say you can't find anywhere else? Because I mean I know like a lot of brokerage firms, they have to offer you guys something, not like monetary, but like as far as tools go.
leads, they'll offer you leads, they'll offer you business, they'll offer you. Marcus and Millichap doesn't even give you cards, like business cards. They don't give you anything. Like you'll be lucky you'll get money, like a sponsorship. They don't like they just go they just know that you're probably going to be one of those people that leave. But CBRE, they make sure you stay, and they give you certain perks. They give you leads, they give you cards, they give you. I had like 4 or 3 monitors on my desk, and I had so much different type of things. So it was crazy.
Can I ask a question real quick? So, CBRE, that's commercial real estate. I'm working with a residential real estate firm, and I'm thinking about commercial making the switch. You're saying that they're giving you the leads, they're supplying the leads. Do they also just answer your questions like whenever, like, you know how you might have a question on a deal at 10 p.m.? Do you have people you can just call? Are they kind of like there for you in that sense? Yeah, that type of thing. Do they do a lot of training, all that?
Yeah, of course. It's all about the team you work for. I mean, Marcus and Millichap, I'll be honest with you, if you're in a really good team, they'll teach you everything. And they'll hold your hand and stuff. Maybe I just wasn't a bad team in Marcus and Millichap, but with that, the higher brokerages will teach you everything and hold your hand, and you could give them a call at 3 in the morning if it's really important because they're always on top of it. It's 24 hours for them. So
That's awesome. Thank
I had
you.
a question. I had a question regarding the internship that you were talking about that's at CBRE. If and when it is available, does that give you enough experience, I guess, to eventually then get hired by them?
Did I have a lot of experience, or what was the question?
Does the internship give you enough experience
Oh,
in order to, you know, because I know that you said that to get a job with CBRE, you have to have the commercial experience. So does the internship with them give you that experience that you need? Or are you pretty much just a coffee grabber?
So no. So if you do well in your internship, that's just like your opportunity to get in. They actually think you could actually make it inside the commercial real estate firm. But like I said before, like I don't know if you've seen The Pursuit of Happiness, how they're all interns. That's just how real life is. You know, they have other interns in there that want the job. If you work harder than anyone in there, harder than you ever worked in your whole life, and they see that, and they'll hire you. You could end up moving up, but most interns, I'll be honest with you, they don't make it because they don't want it bad enough. And that's what my manager told me when I first got hired. In this business, a lot of people don't want it bad enough. You need to want it more than anyone else, and then you could eventually make it. So I've known people that got internships that didn't make it. So
I have a question. From all your deals that you done, that you closed, let's say the time is right, the price is right. What's the one obstacle that you keep occurring that prevents the deal making it close? At the time and the price, that's not an issue. What's that one thing that you keep seeing?
There's a saying that buyers are liars. So sometimes they don't have the money. They could give you, sometimes they have a financial contingency to the deal.
So they're not pre-qualified.
They're pre-qualified at that moment, but the thing is, you need to understand that these buyers sometimes, when it's in escrow, it's a little bit different because the lender will come back. Sometimes there's a bad lender too that you have no control over, that did a mistake, that didn't write, because the lender has a lot of deals that they're working on, and sometimes they mess up. So I think the lender, if you have everything together, I think the lender is probably the worst thing. You need to find a really good lender to work with your clients because they could really destroy a lot of deals. From my experience.
Is there any other thing that's an obstacle that's within your control that you notice? Like you notice that maybe you could adjust something that could jump over that obstacle.
Let's see here. I think the deal itself is still pretty hard. And I think if something's wrong with the property during inspection, that might throw off some things. But I think the main issue for this whole game in brokerage, and these are all what my senior managers told me, 90% of brokerage is finding a deal. So that's like the hardest part. If you could find a deal, you pretty much are 90% of the way. So unless it's escrow, that's really hard too. It's like maybe you're like 70% of the way. So
Carlos, so I've been an associate for about a year now, and I've already done a few deals in multifamily under my belt. So if I were to go to CBRE, how would I negotiate a sponsor with them?
that's perfect. Since you have a lot of experience after you graduate, when do you graduate?
Spring of 21, this coming May.
Okay. I would wait. Let's see. Actually, next year would be perfect. I think next year is great. I think you should just find there could be associate positions, don't get me wrong, that are online on the CBRE website. And if you click on those, you will need to reach out to that office and ask them about that position. So you could actually get a call with the broker that posted that position, if that makes sense. And then once you're in an interview with them, talk about if there's any opportunities for a draw or a sponsorship that you could work out. And I think that would be the best thing ever. 100%. I think that's the only way to really get it. If you're on an interview, don't do it by phone. You have to make sure you have a really good interview with them and negotiate it from there. Because if you negotiate on the phone, they don't really know you that well. You need to build more rapport for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
So in person, yeah, go ahead. But yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, try to negotiate all that in person, 100%. If the team is really good, they'll help you.
I have a quick question. To what extent do you guys use Argus, or if you use it at all? Because I have some guest speakers, they're like, we don't use it at all. And then some other people say they do use it. So,
Argus is the best thing for asset management. So if you're looking for stability, like a salary-based job, I would do Argus 100%. 100%. If you want something like brokerage, you won't really need Argus. But Argus is perfect. If you guys could all learn Argus before you graduate, at least you'll have a backup plan of where to go, because you need Argus. Argus is literally the tool of asset management. So it's perfect. So
thank you. And I hate to put you on a time limit, but we have about 10 minutes.
No, it's okay. I didn't know I was talking for that long, but yeah, I'm totally done. Unless anyone has any more questions, I'm totally done.
So if you want to maybe people want to contact you, put it in the chat maybe.
Oh yeah, no, of course. If you have any personal questions, feel free.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Within this year, how many deals did you close?
I think I closed about 5. I have 2 listings right now that I need to close. So I have 9,000 square feet I need to close, and I have that $2.2 million listing that I have to close, but so far 5.
What's the most you closed in a year?
Most I closing year? It'll probably be this year. I think we're getting towards I don't know. I think this year, if everything works out, you're going to be looking at 3 million, maybe a little bit more, maybe 4 million in sales. I mean, I'm still kind of like, I'm still in the middle position. I have like 2 years of commercial real estate experience. My first year was just doing development and asset management mostly. So I'm like kind of mixed. So this is like my first real year in commercial real estate.
That's impressive. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Did you get your broker's license once you graduated? Because I know Cal Poly has those classes going towards towards the license.
Yes. So I got my broker's license during college. I did residential. I dabbled in residential, but I wanted to do commercial. So I didn't put all my effort into residential. I just wanted some experience and know a little bit about residential, but I wanted to get in commercial.
So you went more of the traditional route where you had the 2 years of experience.
Yes.
And are you aware of how Cal Poly, if you get that degree with real estate in there, you could go straight to the broker exam?
Yeah, no. You could definitely do that. I'd rather do that. Honestly, if I could go back, I'd rather do that. So that is way 100% better. Unless you wanted the experience during college, go for it. Unless you're like 19 or 20 years old, go for it. And you're going to do residential. I mean, I don't see the hurt on that, but in my opinion, if you just want to do commercial, just go straight for the broker and then your degree, and just it'll look better on your resume.
You said that you worked in residential for a little bit. What structural difference do you see between residential and commercial? I mean, I know you're working with bigger buildings and obviously like more business type buildings, but is the process different at all, or as far as like clients go, is it kind of similar?
The process is a little bit similar, but with residential, it's 10 times easier because there's not a lot of rent income involved.
Yeah.
So you have to be there's a lot of financial, like real estate finance involved commercial. That's why they kind of want people with degrees, because they're very smart and they could like analyze every number, because it's all about numbers, investment. In residential, it's more of like, oh, you're going to live here. Do you like it the most?
Yeah. Do
How
you
much
like this
more?
color fence? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of like the differences, the main differences.
You said that commercial real estate is more real estate finance. That makes sense. You're more looking at the incomes from rent. That makes sense. Okay, thank you.
No problem. So hopefully I talked a lot. I hope you guys got a lot out of it. So
Yeah, thank you so much. The recording will be on our YouTube. The link is in the chat. And then again, this is the sign-in sheet I just sent over. And
perfect.
How can we get access to those docs you were sharing?
Yeah, sure.
I was actually thinking of emailing you so you could send it and I could share it with everyone, I guess.
No, of course. I mean, I put little notes on the side so you can kind of see, it kind of explains it in regular English. But I would recommend when you guys look through it, just know it's kind of like a template. It's what people usually use, but it's real life experience. So
Thank you very much, Carlos. I appreciate your time and everything that you shared with us and all the knowledge.
no problem. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks a lot. Keep it up, bro.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks,
Yeah, man,
Carlos.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Keep that hustle going, man.
Thank you guys. Call me anytime.
Thanks, Carlos.
No problem.
Thank you, Carlos. I'm just gonna stay back for anyone who has questions or if you have questions.
Oh, this is perfect. Thank you so much. I'm definitely going to run, but thank you guys.
Of course. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Guys, if you guys have questions, just ask away.
We had a pretty good turnout. It was like 49. That's the highest I saw.
It reached about 50 when I was looking at it.
Hey. All right, I'm gonna go back to work. Text me if you need anything.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Jose, I'll email you.
I had a question.
Uh-huh.
Did you guys figure out the situation with the membership or?
Oh, you were talking to Brandon, right?
Yeah, but I never got anything from him.
Are you serious? I asked him about it. He said he's gonna reach out to you.
Yeah, no.
Like, I'll take care of it. Let me look through my text what he said. Because I know he told me, but then he told me he'll take care of it.
Yeah. The last thing he told me was that it would count for this semester, but you guys weren't even charging for the semester.
Yeah.
That's why I was just.
Okay, here's what he said. He's like, the refund is not possible since we already deposited in ASI. And then he said, I'll tell her that. Do you have his phone number?
No, I don't. Could I get it actually so I can just email him?
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you privately.
Has anyone else got the refund or no?
I don't think so. And then Michelle said that it wasn't possible either. I reached out to her too.
All right. Cool, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just send him a message then.
I
have a question.
Of course, go ahead.
So if you major in FRL, which the emphasis would be real estate, is that only for commercial real estate or is it residential as well?
No, it's anything real estate. So you could even go into property management, you know, not really directly working with brokers or sales agents. But you can go into residential, you can go into commercial.
Okay, and then how does it work with brokerage? Like, I know there's a set of classes you can take to receive your broker's license. So how does that work?
Yeah, so there's a list of classes. I do have a picture of it. I mean, the picture is very like, it doesn't show very well, but I could still explain it to you. Do you want me to email it to you?
Yeah.
Okay, can I have your email, please?
It's gonna be ppugh at cpp.edu.
So it's ppugh?
Yes.
Was it, I didn't hear you, was it G or J?
G. It's ppugh at cpp.edu.
Okay, awesome. I'll email you those photos.
Okay, and with those classes, so you don't have to major in FRL to be able to take those classes? Are there prerequisites for those classes?
Yeah, there are prerequisites.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you could have a different major and still like take those classes.
I mean, you could always minor in the FRL.
Uh-huh. Sure. And you could still get your broker's license that way?
Mm-hmm.
And do you have to like have any prior experience or already be an agent for that or no?
For the sales, I'm not for the sales license. That one you could easily get online too. For the brokerage, I believe it's 2 years of experience. So that's why people usually get their sales license and to get experience like that and then go for their brokerage.
But how does that work with like the like say you take the classes and then like you pass the exam? for the brokerage?
Well, some people still work while in college, and they might have that, they might still have that experience. Not in real estate itself, but maybe in some kind of other sales employment that they're working with, so they have experience like that. I'm not exactly sure on that part. That part was kind of confusing too, but that's what I'm thinking. And then when you do get the brokerage license, you're still gaining that experience. So I think it has something to do with that too.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. If no one else has a question, I'm gonna end the meeting.